This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Brewers Outlet, and Purdy Insurance. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Will you hear Chris Wheeler and I kid about Roger? When I invited Wheels up to the booth one time. Everybody knows Wheels and I are really, really, really great friends. Right? I said, why did you come? He came up to a game. I said, why don't you just come up and sit in the booth for a little while? Right? Well, I guess he got there in the booth before I did. And Roger tried to throw him out. I walked in and go, no, he gets to stay. See, I don't care who's up there with us.
That might be the first time Chris Wheeler was ejected from anything.
No. I mean, no. Wheels. Eventually, he stayed the whole time. But like, I looked and said, Roger. He says, "This is my friend. He can stay." I know he's trying to be very protective. I completely get it. He's trying to be protective of the booth, the broadcast. I completely get that, and I really respect it. But, like, President Trump could be standing behind me, and I really wouldn't care. As long as they're not standing in front of me and blocking the field, I don't care if they're in the booth. It doesn't matter. I've always felt that way. All right. This half hour being brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, waters, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies and ready-to-drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniels, Crown Royal. Right? And the pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury. The beverage supermarket, and the outstanding Neil Rudel joins us. Hello, sir. How are you today?
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Doing great. Yeah, it's great to talk to you again.
Thank you.
So, interesting times, and there's plenty for you to write about, and there's plenty for you to comment about. Over the last month, what have you, how has this roller coaster been, and your viewpoint of it?
Wow. I guess that's the word that comes to mind is wow. I did not anticipate this kind of a season at all. Honestly, I thought that they would run the table. I predicted 12-0 at the beginning of the year. I thought everything was in place, aligned, to borrow a word, and I just was, disappointed for all involved, and somewhat stunned that it had to take place or took place during the season, and just kind of just perplexed at where college sports is on a lot of levels, and that Penn State's in the middle of it too, with mid-season firings almost every week at high-profile places. So, wow.
Look, you need money today, the way everything is run, to make college sports go. I mean, even now it's $20.5 million being allocated for athletes across sports and so forth. In college sports, what have you seen in the pros, and what do you think of the cons are with the money that's now in the game?
Well, I mean, I never disagreed that the kids should get some kind of a stipend. You feel bad, and you're aware that, it was a real struggle. And, we would run into families, trying to, go to road games. And I know how pricey that could be. And, so I like the fact that these kids were being, and it wasn't just the coaches that were making all the money, that the kids could get a stipend. But I think from the start, it's just been it's been unregulated, and it's been a disaster. And there's no loyalty, and there's entitlement, and one loss has appeared to just infect a team as this one did. And I just am just so disappointed. But we've never seen any real leadership from the NCAA or the governing bodies, and now the horses are so far out of the barn. And we'll see how it's pulled back in with the $20 million that you reference. At least, that's going to, maybe create some sort of playing field.
Okay, but that's not the part.
And you know more about all this than me about the behind the scenes of just where it's led. I just don't. I think the rich are going to continue to get richer in terms of the top programs. But you're seeing some other people come out of the woodwork, the Texas Techs of the world and SMU last year. So maybe that'll create some level of parity, but I doubt it.
And I only threw the $20.5 million in it as an add-on, but I'm talking about how large the salaries are, how large the staffs are, money being put into facilities and things like that. Because the debt service right now in the Big Ten, this is debt service in the Big Ten. And this is only for the 16 public schools. We don't know what Northwestern and USC are because they're private. The debt service is $2.3 billion in debt service in the conference right now. I mean, that's why the private equity is being looked at right now. Because, despite a great TV package, everybody's spending a lot of money right now.
Yeah, uncontrollably.
Yeah. All right, so when you look at this team, the last thing I expected, now in big games you expect this, but the last thing I expected with this team was a small margin of error. Yet we are now seeing that. Why is that?
Well, I don't know that, and I give Iowa credit. Boy, they're in there and his teams have shown over the years that they're capable. You're going to get a close game, especially out there at night. But the previous two games, I think it's hard, Steve, to assess, this from the pre and the post James, body of work we're going to see. But I think maybe this talent base was a little overrated. Whether they were reading the old school press clippings or internet clicks or whatever. And the one thing that has troubled me, and there's been a false sense of security, not just with Penn State, but at Penn State, when guys would say, we got the best secondary in the country, and we got the best defensive line in the country, and the best two backs, and we have a first-round draft pick at quarterback, and then we brought in receivers, and this is the best offensive line they've had, all supposedly, all with an asterisk. And I think there was, and of course they ran out and got the most expensive defensive coordinator they could find. So I think it was a false sense of security that's been built up, and they did that type of work of putting these places, but did they do the actual on the field work? What has been missing? And again, you see it closer than I do, so you probably have better answers and theories. But I don't know that they were able to do the grunt work. And a couple things jumped out at me from Pat Kraft's press conference that I think will be curious as the search moves forward. Blue collar, toughness, humility. Some of the words that he was using, I think, have clearly been missing.
Yeah, if you were to tell me that Penn State would fight back from a 17-3 deficit, take the lead in overtime in a game like Oregon, like, wow, got to be a win. If you were to tell me they would block a punt for a touchdown at UCLA, you got to win that game. Block a field goal, run it back for a touchdown. Second time in the 139 seasons of Penn State football. I said, well, at Iowa, well, you're going to feel pretty good about where you are at that point. Have the lead in the fourth quarter at home against Northwestern. All these things are things that you should feel good about the spot they're in, yet they haven't been able to hold on. What have you been seeing in the ability to hold on or put away a game?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you get a special team touchdown, you should win, usually. And I would agree with that. And I think that's been a difficult adjustment to Jim Knowles' system. It seems like maybe his past success didn't come as immediate. It took maybe a little bit longer to adjust. Well, this team was thought to be built to win now. So, and the way Dennis Sutton's been moved around, I don't know. Maybe that's an act of desperation the other day to see him kind of at middle linebacker a little bit. But, yeah, most troubling. They don't know how to win anymore. And being able to put teams away and the fine line between winning and losing, like you suggested. You're at home, you come battling back, whether, the call was not upheld on the field. Now, that's not to say that they would have gone back down and scored a touchdown and won the Oregon game, but just the fine line of momentum. Looked like a drop ball in the end zone the other day that would have put them up 9 with 4 minutes to go, 4.5 minutes to go.
Yep.
So, but the Northwestern game, Northwestern makes 8 first downs in the last 2 possessions to put it away. I mean, to me, that's an intangible, a toughness, an effort that has been missing, and probably they had their hearts torn out against Oregon and just did not recover. And that's a little bit, James had mentioned that not letting teams beat them twice. There had been a pattern of that over these big disappointing losses, the lingering effect. And I felt like for so many things that he did well and the legacy that he'll leave, and clearly, he's leaving the program in a better place. And he was the right guy at the right time. I mean, I think a lot of people felt that way. Yep. But I think those are things that he did not recover. I think he coached so much on emotion. Things were going well. He's chest bumping and high-fiving everybody, and he's leading that emotion. But when things weren't going well, he was more subdued. And I felt, unfortunately, and we'll see where he goes next. I wish him well. And I'll congratulate him if he's successful, if he can get the Florida job. But I felt like he was a much more aggressive coach when he was winning than when he was losing. And there's been a lot of examples of that. Down at the goal line against Ohio State, they just were really tight. I hope he learns from some of this experience.
One of the maddening parts in this area, in the 4-game area, I mean, it may not have been, these are plays that he made for first downs, but not gigantic chunk plays. But Dante Moore ran for 63 yards for Oregon. Nico Iamaleava had 4 scrambles for 120. 4 for 120 on scrambles. Preston Stone, not so much. He made 1 play, but that quarterback's going to make a play, so I don't include that. And then Mark Gronowski had the 130, including a 67-yard run. Hey, what are you seeing when you're watching this as to why the quarterback has been able to get loose in 3 of these 4 games for huge plays that are unscripted?
I mean, how is linebacker you devoid of enough players to be the spies or to help shut that down? And I'm sorry. I mean, obviously the loss of Rojas has been big, but maybe the scheme initially of 5 DBs. And I'm more of a bottom line than results oriented than actually the X's and O's of it. I mean, you got the expert beside you for sure.
Yes, I do.
They need him out there, Jack. But it's just, I think, a lack of linebacker play and would be, and a lack of ability to adjust to the quarterback runs, right? I mean, it's one thing if it's Nico, who was a pretty gifted athlete, and they played real well since that game.
Yes.
But now this kid from Iowa, wow.
I mean, he did that at South Dakota State, but that was South Dakota State. I mean, so it's not as if he has not been that kind of quarterback, because I've looked at it enough. But to see it happen in 3 of the 4 games where quarterback runs, right? It's going to happen once or twice in a game. But when I mean once or twice, quarterback takes off for 8 to 15 yards. You know what I mean? But not 52 and 67. Wow, those are like swing the entire field plays that you don't expect from that position running the ball, because they're not running the wishbone. They're just like taking a broken play and turning it into a big play, and that's been tough to overcome for them along the way. So what did you think of Ethan Grunkemeyer, his first start at quarterback, especially in that situation, that defense, that atmosphere, so forth?
I thought he accounted himself pretty well, really well in a lot of ways. I mean, the last time you went out there with a backup quarterback, you couldn't get the snap off. Yeah. I thought this kid managed the line of scrimmage. I was impressed with him. He scrambled a couple times I thought generally they were looser. I think putting Smolik in showed they were willing to relax and take some chances. Mm-hmm. I thought, Grunkemeyer, in the third quarter when they went down to go up when they went down the field and go up 21-10, I thought that was the best that the offensive line had played all year. Busted big holes for Allen, who obviously gets a lot on his own also. But he hit Ross on the third down play, with a clean pocket. Then he threw deep to Ross, and he got a pass interference. The pass that he threw to Pena in the end zone should have been caught. That's the kind of play for a young quarterback somebody needs to make. And Pena, and I'm not blaming him. He's been a decent pickup and whatnot.
Yes.
But I thought Grunk did pretty well. I really did.
Yeah, no. I thought he gave a good account of himself. Did he play great? No. But he played good. I think he played well. Not great, but he played well. And it's also a starting point for him. How important is this bye week to maybe at least settle some things down and then kind of figure out where you go from here?
I wish they could have won. I would have thought that they could have really built on that. And mainly for all these kids that have suffered through this, these are all, even though everybody's been contributed to what has happened, I feel like there's, just a lot of collateral damage. But for Terry Smith in particular, you could see how he was just drained and had put everything into it. And I thought the team played. I thought if they would have played as hard as they did at Iowa against UCLA and Northwestern, we might not be having this conversation. But so they can build on it. I hope there's still a lot of pride left. I don't know how much the NIL has changed that. What happens in a locker room after you've taken, your first big loss, and then it's unraveled, and now you got guys looking further ahead. I don't know. In that regard, is it a good time for a bye? I don't know, let alone going into a place that is tough even for your best teams. So, but it'll give them time to get the quarterback settled in. One thing Terry said that I thought made sense: give them some easy throws, give them some layups. I think he said it on your show on Thursday night.
He did.
Get them comfortable, and I thought they tried to do that. I thought they threw some of those, quick outs that seemed to work. I know he only had 93 yards. and they still got to get it up the field. But I thought they did some of that better.
He does have a very strong arm. It's. I think to settle him in, I agree with you. I think they had the right plan to settle him in. I think at some point they'll unleash him, because he does throw the deep ball. I mean, he's got the arm. I mean, you saw on the pass. I think it was to Kobe Howard where the pass interference was called. He's got that kind of arm. So we'll see how they want to incorporate. And you're right, Katron Allen. I thought 145 yards a career. That's the other part. You're going to block a field goal for a touchdown, and Katron Allen's going to run for a career high 145 yards. I'm feeling good about where Penn State is.
Well, Steve, I mean, you're a stat guy. Here was part of the problem was the offense up to this point wasn't holding the ball long enough, and so the defense you thought was getting tired. Iowa only ran 49 plays.
Yeah.
That's kind of an unheard of number in victory. Without going through I don't know if the Penn State media guy would have that, but I can't imagine there's too many teams that have beaten Penn State that have only run 49 plays.
Right. Penn State had the ball 30 to 36 minutes, right? Which is a 180 from what's been happening.
Penn State ran 74 plays.
I know.
25 more.
Unreal. All right. Well, as they once said, may you live in interesting times. And, Neil, we are. So, as always, my friend, thank you so much for your valuable time. I really appreciate it, and so does the audience.
Hey, good being with you, Steve.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Neil Rudel, Altoona Mirror. All right, this half hour brought to you by good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drink, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. Not only that, ready to drink cocktails, High Noon Jack Daniels, Crown Royal, Pickle Bar led by the Barrels and the Dills. Indeed, second to none on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Terrified by your old ride?
No!
Don't fear. If you want to have a fun day, you have to drive a Hyundai from Sunbury Motors Hyundai. Sunbury Motors Hyundai has 34 2025 vehicles in stock that need to move. There's 17 2025 Hyundai Tucsons in stock with discounts up to $5,250 or 1.99% financing for 60 months. And they start at just $26,455. Get an all-wheel drive 2025 Hyundai Santa Cruz for under 40 grand with 3.99% APR financing for 48 months or take 5 grand off. SMC has 1.99% APR for 60 months on all 2025 Sonatas, gas or hybrid, or take an additional $5,500 off with prices starting at $24,200. Plus, right now, take an additional $250 off when you come in and mention this ad. Sunbury Motors Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. See dealer for more details.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the all-important Sunbury Motors guarantee. Terrific service department. Quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Brian Tripp joins us. The suit says it's just like the old days. Okay.
Well, we used to talk an awful lot in the early days of this show.
And I'm just somebody who would like to look forward.
Boy, you're no fun. You suck the fun right out of the room.
Brian agrees with me.
He might, but he's not going to say it now. He'll wait and say it later.
No, I say things right to your face. I mean, really? What's the fun in saying it behind your back?
Suppose there's a point to that.
Brian, welcome.
It's great to be with you. I was wondering if yourself and Kevin, in this case, or Jack would like another update on the wind today that I kept referring to in Iowa City on Saturday night.
I think the weather reports are the best part of the best part of the game, personally.
Well, Kevin, I can only go so far with the weather report. I have to stay in my lane with those.
Yes.
Just so you know.
I would like to point out that the last one you were asked about.
Okay. That is
remember I did ask. I did ask you in the fourth quarter about the wind because I was thinking about what would Barker have to encounter if he had to kick. That was the whole point of the question.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's interesting. We have a good time with it. And we're also very careful. You're on that sideline. What were as the ebb and flow of the game? What did you see on the sideline in terms of emotion, disappointment, more emotion, then disappointment? What was that like to see that roller coaster?
Yeah, I thought they handled it really well. I was really encouraged, Steve, and I think the whole message going into the game, we heard it all week from Terry Smith and really from the entire team and coaching staff, that they wanted to come out, play hard, play physical, play fast, and have fun. And I thought right from the get-go when they ran out of the tunnel, they had that, and especially to get that great interception by Wheatley and then to punch it in on the Catron run. What a great start on the road in a tough environment. And obviously, Iowa found a way to scratch and claw and take a lead, and then to get that blocked punt. I don't know that I've seen a happier group in a long time as they were going into the locker room at the half, and then to come out and go up 21-10 on the road. I thought they were engaged. I thought there was a little bit of feistiness to them. Andrew Rappelier, tight end, when he came over to the sideline after a couple of scores, he was kind of waving in good fun, but to the fans. And they're jawing back and forth with some of the Iowa players. I think that was a good thing to see from a group, showing that, look, all year they haven't quit. They've played tough in games, but after what happened in such an emotional last week, to see them come out and play with that intensity, and then obviously to put your heart and soul into it, and to have a game that right there in your grasp slip away at the end. Incredible disappointment that they couldn't win it for themselves, couldn't win it for the coaching staff. But yeah, it was a gut punch at the end that they couldn't find a way to pull that out.
What did you think field level, seeing what Ethan Grunkemeyer could do out there?
Yeah, I was impressed that with that crowd noise, we talked about it a ton during the broadcast, the proximity of the seats to the field. I took my headset off a couple of times just to really get a sense of how loud it is there, and it is a great, great environment, and a credit to the Iowa fans. I thought Ethan, for the most part, managed the game really well. Obviously, statistically, you'd like to see more out of the passing game, get the ball downfield, but they didn't have the false start penalties. He got them into the right play, and then he was able to make some plays creatively with his legs and then his arm enough. I thought for his first start in a hostile environment, he took control and was a leader out there. He led the huddle before the game over on the sideline. He was going up and down the sideline, talking to his backs, receivers, tight ends, and offensive line. I think it's a really nice first game for Ethan as a starting quarterback on the road against a pretty good Iowa defense.
All right. Field level, the one thing that has hurt Penn State in 3 of these 4 games has been the quarterback and the ability to make plays against the Penn State defense running the ball. Dante Moore had, I think, 63 yards rushing, which I think was a career high. But, his were, okay, he got 8 to 15 yards, got a first down. Okay. I mean, that'll happen. But Nico Iamaleava, 4 scrambles for 120, including a 52-yarder. Mark Gronowski, who ran well when he was at South Dakota State, but he ran for a career-high 130 the other night. His previous best had been 126. And the same thing, including a 67-yard run. At field level, what are you seeing with that?
Yeah, it's interesting because going into the game, obviously is one, but I was looking at the box score after the game and looking at it again yesterday. Iowa only ran 18 plays in the second half, and they only had the ball for about 9 minutes and found a way to come back down 11 on the road. If you told me Penn State would have the ball for 36 minutes in the game and would block a field goal and return it for the touchdown, looking at that part of the game, I'd say, wow, they must have won the football game. But it's that quarterback run. Steve, at field level, it feels like they come, and I know certainly this was the experience that wasn't there, but the experience at UCLA, same thing against Oregon. Man, doesn't it feel like they're all coming in such critical spots, especially with Iowa backed up? They have to go to the long field and to spring nearly a 70-yard run to put them down right with a first and goal to go situation. Those quarterback runs, and it's hard to see, diagnose what's going on. They're trying to communicate on the sideline. But what they do in those big spots to take the wind and the air out of your sails for a defense, they're backbreaking. They come in critical spots, it seems like, time and time again. And I can tell you from the emotional side of you feel like you have it defended well, but then to see a guy rip off a play, a naked boot, and you just don't account for it, you're wondering what went wrong. And then it's a communication thing. I saw a Davian Collins come over to the sideline, and Terry Smith talked to him because he didn't take his read on the read option that Gronowski scored his first touchdown on off the left side. I think it was his first touchdown off the left side.
It was.
He didn't hold the end and force the quarterback to make the read and hand it off and get the back inside. And I think it's a communication thing. And there's nothing worse than seeing when you thought you had a play defended, the 11th man that you're not accounting for, maybe need to account for in that situation, go and break off a big run, because it's just another gut punch to your defense.
Your thoughts on just watching Katron Allen and what he's able to do in tight windows to make plays?
Man, his feet are so much quicker this year, and he's got that burst and acceleration. We talked about it with him losing weight. You can see it at field level. But I've said it all year too, Steve, from the sideline perspective. When Katron gets going, when he runs physical, what he does for that sideline, what he does for the offensive line, it really helps the team get its personality. And I think that's the biggest thing. He's obviously a tremendous running back, has had a great season. But when he goes, it feels like the team has an identity, swagger, and personality, and that's the thing that strikes me most.
Okay, let's get to the hockey part of it, because one line is doing more damage than any other, and that's Charlie's line. Yep. What is it about that line, DeMarsico and JJ, the way they're playing right now and the sync that they're in?
Yeah, I always ask Guy about it, and I've talked to them about it too, and they give you the same answer every time, and it seems so simple, but it maybe is just that simple. They love playing together. They have fun. They're best friends at the rink and away from the rink, and I think their chemistry is just so impressive. Now, on that, you can just take that for what it is, but I think if you really watch their game, there's not a play they can't make, and then their attention to detail. I talked to Guy about it after the series against Clarkson. their stick detail. They do the right thing at both ends of the ice, and I think they're getting rewarded for being really, everyone sees the flashy goals and the behind-the-back passes and the big goals, but I think they're playing with an identity and a style as well. So when you take that, couple it with the fun and creativity that they have and just their natural gifts, I think they have so much fun playing the game, and they're fun to watch. You know, they have 17 goals and 38 points through 6 games, which is almost 3 goals per game and over 6 points a game from one line. Their pace that they're at right now it's incredible. They certainly have been a big reason for Penn State's early season success, but they are as good as any line in college hockey to start this year. And statistically, now the schedule will get tougher, but statistically, they're off to as great a start as any line has had over the last 20 years.
Gavin McKenna, for someone who is barely 18, when he's on the ice, seems, when I watch him, control the tempo and tenor of the game as if he was a 25-year-old. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think some people have gotten lost in the numbers, and he only has 1 point here over the last couple of games.
Oh, geez.
But when he's out there, Steve, especially on the power play, he is a big reason why their power play has scored in every game this year. They're almost at 30%.
Yeah. He's the orchestrator out there.
It's incredible to watch someone so young have such a feel for the game. When he wants to slow it down, he can slow it down. When he wants to speed the game up, he can speed it up. And that's on the ice where there are 9 other chess pieces. And at 17 years old, to be able to do that at a new level with all these people around him, it is really, really incredible. And I think his vision's terrific. He's an unselfish player who always wants to make the play for his teammate. He still has, people are saying, oh, he's not shooting enough. He still has over 20 shots on goal. He's among the team leaders in shots on goal. I think he can trust his shot a little bit more, but that will come with time. He's playing 22 minutes a night. It's most on the team. And even when he may not get a point on a play, if he is on the ice, he would often have that third or fourth assist. He's the one who drives the play, zone entries, controlling the puck, getting everything in motion and getting the team set up. The tenor that he plays with, the tempo, Guy called it manipulating the game. He's just so good at navigating that.
Well, he's the orchestrator. Yep. I mean, he's the youngest player on the team, and he's the orchestrator. And
he's got
if I could add one more thing, too,
Yeah.
his leadership's been really good.
Yeah.
He's not a guy who gets down. He'll say something to his line mates and his teammates. For 17 years old, and you're playing with Aiden Fink, who's played a lot of college hockey, or Reese Lawback, or Ben Schoen, and those guys are all great leaders themselves. But he's not 17 years old and just in awe of what's going on. He will speak up when necessary, and because he's well aware of who he is and the talent he has, but he's not afraid to voice an opinion, and in a very mature way. He has just such a maturity about him. We saw it on the road the first trip to Arizona State, all the noise around him and people waiting for autographs, and they come in the hotel lobby looking for autographs, and he is unfazed by it all. He's a leader by example, but also when he speaks, he's someone that you obviously listen to.
Yeah, I also thought Aiden Fink scoring the game winner in overtime against LIU, and I texted this to you. I said it was not just a boost for the team to win the game, but I thought it was a boost for him. It kind of got him on, with a big goal, which he's used to scoring, but it had been a while since he scored that kind of goal. Yeah,
he had a power play goal in the opener, but outside of that, he hadn't scored this year. And, Steve, it's been since January of last year since he scored a 5-on-5 goal. So It's been a while, but he is a guy. He's a momentum player. Aiden obviously has as great a shot and as great a goal scorer as any player, I think, this year in college hockey. But I think players that are expected to perform, sometimes they need something to kickstart them. And I think Aiden has played well. I think he's played incredibly. He's had great chemistry with Gavin. But when the puck, if you're a goal scorer and the puck isn't going in, no matter what, sometimes you just need to see the puck go in the net. And then to not only go in a big spot like that, I think that's huge for Aiden.
Jackson Smith was just getting himself back into the lineup when I went to the game a week ago. And for a guy that just got back into the lineup, I was incredibly impressed by how he played defensively, what he did in the offensive zone, and how he committed and then knew when to commit in the offensive zone. What's been your thought process on watching him?
Yeah, I think he's gotten better every game. Obviously, I think he was better the second game against Clarkson, and then by all accounts, and was able to watch most of the games back this past weekend against LIU. I thought he was stronger and stronger every time he's been out there. He is big, he is strong, but for a guy his size, he skates like a Gavin McKenna as a defenseman at 6'4", and he's still a young kid too. And he's adapting to the speed, the time and space that you don't have in college hockey. And people have looked at this non-conference schedule, and they see Clarkson and LIU. These are both teams that had 20-plus wins last year and finished in the top half of the pairwise. So they may not have the name brand of a North Dakota or a Minnesota, but their style of play, old, heavy, physical. For Penn State to go against that type of slate after playing a very good Arizona State team to open the year, I think this 6-game stretch to open the year really helps acclimate this young group and the newcomers to the type of games that they'll often play against an Ohio State, a Notre Dame, when they get into conference play.
And that's it. That fact, for those going out to Columbus, Penn State's playing hockey out there right before they play the football game. So you'll have an opportunity to see that. And that'll probably give you a big read, at least in this stage of the season, exactly where Penn State is at this stage. It's not a predictor of January, February, and March. But at this stage, they'll probably give you a good read, right?
Yeah, and that's Steve Rollick's teams for Ohio State. They defend well. They play a pretty similar style to Penn State, maybe without the shot volume. They've got a good goaltender. And I think that's a good road test to open Big Ten play. November's not going to define the season, but to start at Ohio State, then on the road against Michigan State, home for a big series with Michigan, which might be the surprise team so far. They're playing as well as anyone in the country. And then on the road at Minnesota, you're looking at four Big Ten series there in the first half of the year. And Penn State doesn't play after that. They won't play again until January. They don't play in December. That's obviously not a defining stretch by any means, but I think you'll get a good read in that Ohio State series, how they'll handle a really difficult month of November. And I think this weekend, Steve, they have Stonehill here. And look, you still have to go out and play the game. You don't want to have bad habits. You want to play to your identity, play fast. But they need to get some other guys. I think Aiden Fink, Gavin McKenna, 5-on-5, Shea Van Olm, Lev Katzen, guys who are going to see lesser amounts of ice time that are quote-unquote bottom six, that are only bottom six forwards because they're on a team that has so much talent. They typically be top six guys. I think this weekend they need to see the puck go in as well and make opportunities against Stonehill, and you can get that depth outside of just the big guys, the Serrato, DeMarsico, and Weebush line that's really been contributing most of their offense.
All right, well, there really is nothing I'll be able to contribute to your class, but I'll show up and say something, okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you. And, hey, I think it would be – what do you think Kevin would get if he took the course?
He's like he's got a job.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Before the show started, I said we were talking about him taking over the course, and I said, yeah, I was told a long time ago I never would have passed that course.
Well, I graded on a curve. That would have helped you.
Most of my educational career needed more than a curve. It needed a full bend.
Nobody could tell.
I was trying to grade some projects earlier, but the whole AWS outage has taken down the Penn State online Canvas system.
Yeah, I never had that option in school, was to be able to use that as an excuse. I'm sorry, I couldn't upload it. AWS was out.
I'll just show up. Just point me toward the class. I'll talk. Who knows? All right.
Just like the field.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just like every other day.
Just like everything else I do. Just point me toward whatever. I'll talk. And, and then we'll go from there. I'll make something up. I've done a couple of games, so since I've done a couple of games, I might lean on that. All right.
Steve, thanks.
Thank you, Brian. All right.
Yep.
This half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.